comeback. Steve Nash, I'm about to bring the sun back. Forecast looking bright for the comeback. Can't ignore.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing a little bit more about the ASAAK front and rear shocks that we carry. We're also going to be doing a install video on this TRX400EX. This is the XC bike that we run in the MOXC racing series, and hopefully GNCC coming soon. We have the shocks on this bike. We've had them on this machine for about close to 2 years now, with testing on the XC racing trails and some other stuff we've been working on. So far we're pretty happy with it. These are the first set of prototypes that we have been testing. We're running them on the second season on XC racing. We have not done any rebuilds, we have not changed the oil or messed with the nitrogen PSI setting in them, because we want to do about 2 years testing and just see how overall with the wear and tear. So after this season of racing, we will be tearing down the front and rear shocks, doing a video on all the internal pieces, what the oil looks like, everything like that, just to kind of show after 2 years of hard abuse what these shocks look like. We will be carrying rebuild kits for them, so in the future you are able to rebuild them. We are looking into valve kits, shim kits and softer springs, so look out for that. We are in the works of testing different spring rates for them. But in comparison to the stock shocks you get on these machines and any other machine, the stock OEM ones are a pogo style, so there's no adjustability except for the spring rates. These do have the three-way adjustability on them. You have the preload, rebound and the compression on them, so you can send them up to your riding style. Overall we're pretty happy with these over the OEM style shocks. We do carry these for the Warrior 350, Raptor 350, DVX, KFX and LTZ 400s, and now with the TRX400EX and X models. We are in the works of the YFZ 450 carb models, so the 04 to 09, and we are now working on the YFZ 450R model shocks too, that will be in the testing coming soon. We are going to be working on a few other models too for the Blaster, Banshees and TRX300EXs, so those will be coming out in the future. So today we're going to be doing a install video on the ASAAK shocks on this 400EX. The install is pretty easy, helps everybody help you, but it's pretty simple. Depends if you already have aftermarket shocks on here with the remote reservoirs, the install is going to differ, but all in all it's going to be about the same process between machines. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to do that. Hopefully it helps. If you guys have any questions about the shocks, please feel free to reach us on Facebook, Instagram, give us a call. If you want to come see them in person, MOXC Racing, we will be at the races and possibly GNCC come September time in Ohio. That will be the true test of these shocks. Really happy with the way these shocks have turned out and the way they are handling and holding up. We have a couple other people trying them on the Banshees. The Warrior rear shocks they're testing on the Banshees, and so far they're really liking that. So if you're looking to try the Warrior shock we have for the Banshee, they do fit. There's no modification needed. The only thing you need to do is route the rear reservoir line and the reservoir itself to find a place to mount it. It does come with bracketry, but if you want to mount it a different way you can. And we also did do a breakdown of the ASAAK shocks compared to two other shocks you can get on the market, roughly about the same price range. So we did have LeBaron's POWERSPORTS and Brown City tear apart the shocks, show you internals, the build quality, kind of like a breakdown of everything compared to other shocks on the market too. So go ahead, link will be down below. Click on that if you want to see more about the shocks. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and show you guys how to install the front and rear ASAAK shocks on a 400EX. Okay, just want to do a comparison with the stock shocks to when we put the ASAAKs on. So these are OEM shocks. They been on a machine for a couple years, but just for comparison. So you can see they act like a pogo. They just go down and come back up pretty fast. There's absolutely no adjustment except for the spring. So yeah, now we're gonna install the ASAAKs and show you what those are all about. Okay, so to remove the stock shock, make sure you're on a level surface. Make sure you're in gear or your wheels chocked. Use a jack. You can use jack stands, but for now I'm just gonna have it on the jack. And then you want to remove the top and bottom bolts that hold the shock to the frame. There's a nut on the back, so go ahead and loosen those and remove the shock. Now, just for demonstration purposes, we are going to reinstall the shocks that were on the bike. We're not going to throw in a new set because these are the ones that have been testing for close to 2 years now. So to reinstall them, it's just the reverse of how you took the old ones off. Make sure you put the correct bolts in the correct location. There is a long and a short one. For each ATV, it's going to be different, but same concept applies. So to get the lower bolt in, you're going to have to lift up on the A-arms. It's going to be helpful if you have 2 people, but if you do it by yourself, it's going to be a little tricky. Just put the bolt through the A-arm, you can lift up on it, align it up, and then you'll find the way it goes in. Okay, so we put the ASAAK shocks back on, and just for comparison, these are adjusted to my riding style, so they're going to be different to how you like them. But just for comparison, and don't forget you have the 3-way setting, so you can adjust it to your riding preference. And of course you can't exactly tell the difference just by looking at a video. It's all about how it feels riding and that kind of thing. So you're not really going to see the difference in the video. It's all about how you feel it on the trails and everything, but these are a big upgrade over stock, and with 3-way adjustability, and also having the option to rebuild it. And we're going to be looking into revalving kits as well as softer springs. Okay, so now to do the rear shock, between the years it's going to be different just because of the plastics. But it's going to pretty much be the same thing for the rear shock. I'm just going to go through this real quick, just because we've been through the 400 and torn it down and put it back up together pretty quick before, so it's going to be pretty straightforward, but I'm going to show you what to do. So first things first, remove the plastics, and then all you're going to need is a 10 and a Phillips. You're going to remove the hose clamp that holds the airbox hose to your carburetor. I've modded my airbox hose that goes to the airbox, your little snorkel. I've actually cut it, and I've used these rubber O-rings on the top and the side to hold these together, so it can make it easier to remove the airbox. Otherwise, you've got to remove the tank. I have an upgraded high capacity tank, and in order to take the tank off, I have to take a lot of plastics off, and I figured it'd just be easier and quicker just to make that cut. 2 O-rings with some screws, hold it in place. So it just comes off that easy, and you'll see what I mean. And I'll take this apart. because time is everything when you have to do a quick repair. And this one, oh, of course. There you go. 2 O-rings for that. Now your airbox is loose from your snorkel top piece. I've already loosened the clamp to the airbox. You have 2 holders on the side of the frame that hold the grommets to the airbox. I find it easier just to remove those as well. One of mine are broken, so makes it easier. Let's just pop that out there. On that side. Don't lose any of your screws, so those come off. And then, let me see if it's in the frame, and it is. You have a screw on the back here that holds the airbox in. And with that loose, what you have to do now, just lift up on that. Don't forget, on this side you have a crank vent case hose. On the bottom over here, it's a little clip that holds it in place, so just loosen that, and then that comes off. And look at that. And that's why I made the mod and I cut this, so it makes it easier to take this apart instead of having to take all the clips and everything off the tray in the front. And this is what your stock shock should look like. You have a top bolt that holds the top of the shock to the frame, and your lower bolt that holds your shock to the link that connects to the swing arm. So remove the 2 nuts at the end, pull your bolts, and then your shock will come out. It helps to have another person lift up on the back of the ATV while you're trying to loosen the bolts, but I can do it myself. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult, but you are able to do it by yourself. If you're not able to, get a buddy to help. Give them a case of beer, you know, pizza, just for a few minutes of their help. Okay, so now to remove the rear shock, we've loosened the nuts and we've taken them off. I'm going to lift up on the back of the ATV on the grab bar and just give it a little bit of tension up and down while I remove the bolt. When the bolt's removed, you can lower it back down. The shock will get held in place by the frame. So you can do that. And then what I'm going to do is lift up on the rear of the ATV all the way, bring the shock back, and then lower the ATV down. That way I can remove the shock. So now with your lower shock bolt out, you should be able to remove the shock just like that. Okay, for demonstration purposes, I am going to be reinstalling the existing ASAAK rear shock that we've been using for testing. This is the one that has 2 years on it, so we're going to be reinstalling it because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But the one you receive in the box, the installation is going to be the same. As you can see, it's dirty, but you reinstall it, it's basically going to be the same way, except for the remote reservoir, which I'll show you where that goes when it gets to that time. So make sure that the fitting faces towards the front, where on the OEM one would be the reservoir. So this would fit the same way. And just keep your reservoir up at the top and the line loose for now. And once again, to install the top of the shock to the frame, we're going to lift up on it, line everything up, and throw it in. Just like that. Okay, now to mount the reservoir on your frame, you'll have 2 tabs. I don't have it just because when I bought the ATV, they're already broken. So we're going to use clamps, like bar clamps, to mount the reservoir to the frame. So you're going to route your hose on the inner side of the frame this way. And I already have the clamps installed on the remote res. As you can see, they're a little dirty with the supplied hardware and the bracket. And then they're just going to mount right over there. If you have the tabs, they'll mount up here. I'm going to mount mine over there. Okay, now that the remote reservoir is mounted to the frame, we're going to take the line and we're going to zip tie it up out the way. Of course, the way yours goes is going to be different to how mine is. but you just want to zip tie this out the way of the chain. You can use any zip ties you want. We're going to use these nice thick ones. We're only going to use 2 of them, but anything to kind of keep the chain away from touching that is the best way you want to use. Okay, once you have your line zip tied out the way, mounted, make sure everything is nice and tight. Don't forget to do the upper and lower shock bolt. A little squeaky, and then we can reinstall the airbox. Then again, the way I did mine is going to be different, but now we're going to reinstall the airbox, all the tabs, and get all that back together. And there you have it, your airbox is back on, and that's the reason why I kind of like doing the O-ring modification, because it just makes it easier to do this whole thing without taking the tank off. Tabs are on. Make sure you're clamped to your carburetor from the airbox is tight, back bolt is on, and just check the lines and make sure everything is out the way as it should be. But it's pretty much straightforward on how to install the ASAAK rear shock on. If you want to mount the reservoir somewhere else, you're welcome to it. Everyone has their own preference of doing it, but all in all, pretty happy with the ASAAK shocks, the way they mount up, the performance of them, longevity. Like I said, this is the 2nd season they going on. Haven't been rebuilt, haven't been adjusted in terms of the weight oil or the PSI of the nitrogen. And so far I'm happy with them. You can check them out in the videos on the channel MOXC Racing. And yeah guys, if you have any questions, feel free to comment or give us a call. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram. Don't forget we also have the Resner Racing exhaust systems back in stock. The grab bars for the racing come in handy, especially if you're height challenged, makes it easier. We have a few other odds and ends that we're working on the 400. We're busy testing the Shift Star at the moment. We've had 1 ride of them so far. They're working out good. We're going to be testing them this coming up weekend in the next round 3 at Twisted Trails. The oil cooler kit is on its 2nd season, and that's also held up pretty good. No issues, no complaints with that at all. And yeah guys, if you have any questions about anything else on the quad or the racing in general, reach out to us, comment. We will be doing a future video on both 400s, all the changes we've made, how everything's held up, and a few other things as well we want to discuss. So thanks for joining in, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.